Do you have a problem with saying too much when you talk? Unscripted? I know I do. And that's why I've had to do this 5 times. Take 5. Hi, I am Zon. I go by the moniker at Burningwood M. This is the second part of my developer vlog and or tutorial on how to make 2D graphics for Construct 2 games that I'm working with John. Again, John basically wanted to make an open world space tutorial. He needed someone who does graphics. I offered because I always wanted to make a space game. And as I'm making the space game, I'm working on the thrust and or the visual effects right now in Inkscape, an open source, 100% free software. I'll put it in the links below. What I'm doing this right now is I'm getting these ready to do tween animations, basic tween animations in Spriter Pro. At this point, I'm using another software, which is Manga Studio. Again, this is not free software, but you can find like Kitra would be perfect for this too. And I'm just cleaning up the images. What I'm doing here is that I do like clean images, but since I'm not using vectors, I'm basically just cleaning up the pixels, and it looks like this will kind of be a pixelated game. Luckily, I can make it relatively clean, and it should still be fun and funny and enjoyable, as other people are going, oh no, retro style pixels. As I do more cleanup, and oh, this is neat too. So if you get a good image like I have that's like neon, you can just change the hue and you have the whole spectrum of neon colors. And I'll be using that to design more of the ships later on. Now ideally, I was thinking of making this 3D, and in that sense you could do something like the game Klang, which is a Construct 2 game, which is beautiful, and he did pretty much everything via 3D images, and then he made like these ping file movies, and then took the keyframes of those pings and exported it into Construct 2, giving it this beautiful, consistent look, which that could be easier. However, again, keeping this simple with the tool sets that I know and the style that I'm going with, I think 2D is a better option here. Again, the game ideally is going to be more cartoony because I think it's going to match the story and stuff that I guess I'm writing or penning out. So we'll see where that goes. I probably will make the asteroids in 3D. Oh, so at this point, because I don't have Flash, I can't do tween shape animations. So I am going to have to, as you can tell here, I'm making keyframe animations so that I can animate a more smoother set of transitions. Now, the thing to note, the way I'm working on thrust is I am kind of using some base science here, is that there should be a couple of states that need to be shown, that have to be animated. The first state is the initial state, and then the second state is the continuous thrust. I don't know how to make that clean. Yes, continuous thrust, which the player will be doing and seeing for a long time. So again, the idea then is that I have to get the initial thrust and the continuous thrust, and I can probably turn those animations into the finishing of the thrust. Wow, can't believe I just said that. So that's the base science stuff. Some things to consider here is that I'm not using like all the science stuff, like with the algorithms. This is really just to create the visual effect. I know that's kind of a dumb thing to say, but some people are very serious about their science and their space. There's a new space game that has no sound, which, yeah, technically, I mean, for the most part, there shouldn't be detectable sounds. So what are we hearing when we watch movies? I don't know. One could argue a different spectrum on the quantum spectrum of physics. Who knows? Well, anyway, so as I'm working on this, there is an internal logic that I've been building and designing these ships on based on IU technology, and that's why I wasn't happy with the way it looked. Originally I was just going to do particles, but I wasn't doing the best particle effects because I was literally trying to animate every particle, and again, I'm not doing 3D, so I didn't want to spend that much time on it. Again, I like to do things quick because if it's fast and quick, this comes from game jams, you can make stuff a lot quicker, a lot faster, and just get it out there. At the same time, there's a certain amount of quality which you have to consider because you want the player feedback, to feel that that's like an actual thing. I think that's why one of the things is you look at FTL, it's an amazing game, but it's very simple, but they just have enough of that player feedback to sell that you're actually on these spaceships. So at this point here, this is the, again, using the internal logic where I've had to redo the animation from scratch, and what I have in this state is this is the standby mode, where players may just be not moving at all. So that's the thing, there'll be quiet moments in the game where there could be banter or some type of situation that the ship is stagnant. Like maybe even the select menu where you actually pick the ship to take. So ideally at this point I'm just working on the particles that are there to sell the initial state. Again, particles and these glowing kind of circles will be part of the initial space travel that is kind of the internal science fiction, maybe internal science fantasy that this game will have. Ideally, I want all the ships to have their own internal logic. For the IU ships, they have a top circle showing their engine, and that will be interesting to see how that works with their shields and weapons, and how I'll develop that further as I go along. Again, I'll probably add more textures to the ship, at least for damage and stuff, but again, I'm trying to kind of go maybe more in a cartoony way of trying to render out everything. Again, to make it clean and to also make it simple so I could put it out. At this point, this is my moment of zen. As you can see, I do have the initial state of thrust to go forward, but I need to work on the left and right. I'll do that later. Again, if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below, and or check out the links that I'm also leaving with resources and tons of stuff to make games. Cheers!